If you watch this because you take anybody in that community seriously, if you take Destiny seriously, anybody associates with seriously, if you take these people seriously, I do not have a TOS-friendly way of expressing to you how fundamentally botched your brain is. I do not have a way of expressing to you how stupid you are. Well, it looks like Destiny won, unfortunately, sadly. Ex-Israeli spy exposes the dark truth of the Middle East. This bookshelf is all for show. I hate bookshelves like this. You can tell. You can tell. It's like an obligation. People in this situation always have these massive, massive shelves full of like these ornate, overly produced volumes, all arranged according to style, not according to subject matter. And what you'll notice is they never pick them up. I pick up my books on stream. I talk about them. I pull them off the shelf. I talk about them. Okay? These books never come off the shelf. They never come off the shelf. They're for show. All right, here we go. We're gonna watch pedophile and genocidal maniac violence. It'll be fun.
I'm really excited.
And very quickly, thank you. I should be blaming you, actually, not thanking you. Thank you, Smith Black, for the $20. You're born to suffer, Destiny. God damn it. And playing Gilly, thank you for the €5. Destiny will be a glorious car crash content. Also have a beer on me. I can't drink beer, unfortunately. Drink beer makes me blow up. A lot of people were asking, like, Sunday, have you lost weight? No, I just don't drink beer anymore. Beer causes me to inflame across the board. I look fatter on beer, is what it is. Sunday feels his books. I also smell my books, all of them, because the new ones, they smell glorious, and some of the old ones do too.
That Dr. Mordecai Kadar has invited us into his home in order to have a conversation.
You invited a man into your home who's currently in court because he can't help but share illicit images of people he has sex with children. Mordecai, just a heads up. Just a heads up, Morty.
Dr. Mordecai Kadar has invited us into his home in order to have a conversation. And we're just going to be going over, I guess, basically your...
Check the details I gave you in DM swap. Mordecai Kadar's life project is advocating for concentration camps for Palestinians and the balkanization of the Palestinian territories. He was an IDF military intelligence for years and is a lecturer at a top Israeli university. Well, I, for one, am glad that their primary American liaison at this point is this disgusting wretch.
History, working in Israel, and then just your general thoughts and opinions on the conflict between Israel, Palestine, the rest of the world, it seems like right now. Do you want to go over real quick your background in Israeli intelligence, as much as you're comfortable saying?
Well, I was born in Tel Aviv 71 and a half years ago to a family. My father and my mother originally
is that your life in Israeli intelligence?
Came from Poland. My mother tongue was Yiddish.
Video not showing? Oh shit.
But I fell in love in Arabic, in the Arabic world, Arabic culture, Islam, thanks to a great teacher named Dov Iron, may he rest in peace, who was my Arabic teacher in the high school between the 9th and the 12th year. And because we learned Arabic, a group of 13 kids, we learned Arabic very seriously. We went like en bloc to serve in the intelligence when we were recruited in 1970, when we were 18. I spent and served in the intelligence 25 years. And I was released in 1995 in the rank of Brigadier General, I think, what you'd say in the States. Meanwhile, I started my academic career, BA and then PhD in the 90s. I finished my PhD in 1997, and I became a teacher in the university, Bar Ilan, for 28 years. I retired 2 years ago. Meanwhile, I published my PhD in this book in English, Assad in Search of Legitimacy, which actually analyzes the Syrian press from the linguistic point of view. Because here in the Middle East, it runs in Arabic. And if you master Arabic, really well, you can penetrate the...
Okay, let's see here. So this is Mordecai Kadar. This is the guy. In July 2014, he said the threats to kill or imprison terrorists are an ineffective deterrent, stating the only thing that deters them is if they know that their sister or their mother will be raped in the event they are caught. A further joint statement by Kadar and Bar Ilan University further clarified his point, saying he did not call and is not calling to fight terror except by legal and moral means. Why would you say that, though? Why would you say that, though? And what would be the basis of saying that? Precisely. Kadar said in June 2008 on Al Jazeera that Jerusalem belongs to the Jews, period. That's strange because it seems to have a lot of Palestinian citizens and a lot of Palestinians whose homes were stolen to establish it. Cancelled speeches. In December 2014, the Finchley United Synagogue in London cancelled a speech by Kadar that had been organized to the local chapter of the Zionist Federation. On the same week, scheduled appearances at 3 Jewish schools were cancelled after protests regarding his association with Pamela Geller, an anti-Islam organizer from the US who was banned from the UK the previous year. The UK, by the way, is not a staunch opponent of Zionism. They're actually kind of the originator of it. The cancellation was met with mixed reactions. The Federation chair defended Kadar. The Zionist Federation defended Kadar, amazing, and said that he had been the victim of a smear campaign, while political scientist Michelle Pinto-Duchinsky, I don't know who that is, said that Kadar was toxic for interfaith relations in the UK. Kadar has been on the board of advisors of Geller's organization, Stop Islamization of Nations, Scion 19. Her blog, by the way, is called Atlas Shrugs. That should give you a sense of the tenor of this material. What's sort of been happening, some people have sort of been attentive to this a little bit, is that when you have people like this, okay, who are in court because they can't keep it in their pants, because they have low discipline, they have low moral character, and they become sort of infamous in the circles in which they operate for being unscrupulous. And this is all a very polite way of saying he's a pervert who takes videos of people he sleeps with, uses his position to entice people to sleep with him because he wouldn't be able to otherwise because they aren't attracted to him, and then he shares this as evidence of his sexual prowess with anybody he can, including children when they appear and are appear willing. When people like this want to salvage their reputations and look serious, they find people like this who are in a similar boat, and they talk with each other, because two morons, and I cannot stress this enough, if you are a viewer of DGG, unironically, and you do not watch this as a joke or for content, if you watch this because you take anybody in that community seriously, if you take Destiny seriously, anybody associates with seriously, if you take these people seriously, I do not have a TOS-friendly way of expressing to you how fundamentally botched your brain is. I do not have a way of expressing to you how stupid you are. You'll just have to live with it. I got nothing for you. I don't have a cure. I don't have a method. You are beyond the reach of sanity. Your pathway towards being a functional human being is a long, dark, and treacherous one, and it's one that I blessedly do not have to traverse myself. So I have no guidance for you. Just, Godspeed. For these people, they see, look, my favorite greaseball on the internet is talking to a guy with glasses in front of a bookshelf who isn't called President Sunday because President Sunday, ruined his chances at mainstream appeal. You're welcome, Steve-O. He's serious. Look, he's talking to smart people. Guys, he's talking to smart people. Boy Wonder is talking to 36-year-old Boy Wonder is talking to smart people. We're moving up in the world, guys. We're doing it. Don't know what it is, but we're doing it. If you're part of that cult, like, this is a big deal. This is like, the stuff I listen to while I'm on the toilet, it's going places. That's the feel. It's not, by the way. It's really not. It's actually been going steadily down for a while now. It ain't going back up. There are new people popping up. It's been a little bit of time. The world turns, life moves on. There are smarter, funnier, cleverer people who will take your place soon. But that's the feel. That's what this is fundamentally about. Nobody who is serious, whose career is not on the downturn, who isn't an apologist for what is pretty globally recognized now is a fascist regime that has gone completely insane, wants to be in the room with either of these goons. Nobody wants to be in the room with these people, but they want to be in the room with each other because they mutually launder each other's dirty underpants.
9th and the 12th year. And because we learned Arabic, a group of...
There's a coin flip chance Gavin Newsom would go on stream with Destiny to attract young men to his cause. I hope so. I really hope so. I really hope so. Genuinely, I hope Gavin Newsom goes on with Destiny. I think that'll be fun. I think that'll be a fucking lark is what I think it'll be. I think that'll be great. I really hope that happens.
Kids. We learned Arabic very seriously. We went like en bloc to serve in the intelligence when we were recruited in 1970, when we were 18. I spent and served in the intelligence 25 years. And I was released in 1995 in the rank of Brigadier General, I think, what you'd say in the States. Meanwhile, I started my academic career, BA and then PhD in the 90s. I finished my PhD in 1997, and I became a teacher in the university, Bar Ilan, for 28 years. I retired 2 years ago. Meanwhile, I published my PhD in this book in English, Assad in Search of Legitimacy, which actually analyzes the Syrian press from the linguistic point of view. Because here in the Middle East, it runs in Arabic. And if you master Arabic, really well, you can penetrate the minds and hearts even of people. But for this, you have to master the language. Without language, forget it.
We have this problem in the West whenever the Israeli government is publishing videos from either, usually stuff relating to the war in Gaza right now. You'll see in every comment section, people are fighting a lot over, what was the last word, like Shabia? For like a...
Sabiya.
Maybe, yeah. For like,
Sabiya.
Yeah, for women that are taken captive, does it mean adult woman? I think for the Israeli translation, they had written in parentheses, like women that can bear children, basically. And a lot of people took issue with how this was phrased, but yeah, just that was over a single word.
There are two words in Arabic which to the Westerners sound the same almost. Mm-hmm. One is Sabiya, which is a young lady.
But by the way, the book is the One State Reality, What is Israel / Palestine? It's edited by Michael Barnett. Highly recommend. It looks like this. If you want to read up on this, if you're not familiar at all with the Israel-Palestine issue, I cannot recommend enough Rashid Khalidi's The 100 Years War in Palestine. I would actually also recommend Benny Morris's Righteous Victims. Even though Benny Morris is a fascist psychopath in present day, he wrote a pretty good critical history before he was corrupted in the last few decades. But this book, though, The One State Reality, What is Israel / Palestine? If you want a very grounded, realist appraisal of the situation and the viability of a two-state solution, these essays are really, really good. These are really good. Cannot recommend this enough. I occasionally have like a subscription to Foreign Affairs, not because I like Foreign Affairs as a publication generally, but they have like a lot of, not that I dislike them, or just Foreign Affairs is weird. So Foreign Affairs doesn't publish academic papers. What they do, though, is they get a lot of like really high-level, well-respected people in their respective fields writing articles explaining current affairs. And they will typically provide really good guidance for further reading, and that's typically what I use them for. They have great book recommendations. I found this one through that. This one's really good, though. Really good. One of the best contemporary political science books relating to like an ongoing issue that I've read.
Young lady. And Sabiya, which is a captive lady. Now, captive lady means a lady which you can use for any use. And the question is, what did they say in that
Destiny got really excited at that phrase.
movie? Do they have Sabaya, means a plural of young ladies, or plural of Sabaya, means plural of captive women, which you can use to any purpose? Apparently, I heard it. It sounds more like the second one.
Sure.
Women which you can use or abuse. By the way, I have a clip on my computer. I think that the people of Daesh, of ISIS, are talking the same way about Yazidi girls which were brought to them. So it's the same mindset. Hamas and ISIS.
Do you think that as somebody
Why would that be the same? What? What?
who studied Arabic really well and can speak fluently
Yeah, search both their hard drives, frankly.
and read the language and everything, do you think that there is a failure sometimes to distinguish in Israel between different Arabic countries or communities, or do you think they all get lumped together, or do you think there's like an appreciation of the differences between?
By the way, when they say women who can bear children, they don't mean an English Western American law definition of woman, just to be clear.
All of them.
One has nothing to do with the other. The Arab nation is sharply divided to peoples, as we say, like the Moroccan one and the Algerian one and the Egyptian one and Iraqi and Syria. But in these countries, they are again sharply divided according to the clan, in many cases, according to the religion. You know, in Lebanon, the Christians are speaking different Arabic than the Druze or the Muslims. Once somebody opens his mouth, you know who he is and what he is. Here in Israel, you can hear differences in their pronunciation.
Destiny adds nothing to the conversation. I can't imagine why he would add anything to the conversation. He doesn't know anything. Like, one of the frustrating things about this entire last little bit as like a politics creator is that like these assholes are basically using their existing clout in unrelated areas to try and insert themselves into conversations about which they know nothing. Stephen doesn't know anything about Israel-Palestine. He started out with a pre-established position of being pro the displacement of all of the Palestinian people before he even knew what landmass Israel was on. That's intrinsically embarrassing. Like you need to understand, like, Destiny has a reputation for being a good debater because he ambushed people who were not debaters who were stupid, like JonTron. Destiny is not a good debater. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. He is one of the dumbest people, like lacking basic common sense. He's a moron. You should not trust this person to frickin' like manage a garbage truck. He has no idea what he's doing in any interaction. He is incredibly stupid. The only reason why you would invite this person into your house is because he has a large audience of very dumb people and you are trying to launder your reputation because you are frankly associated with murderers and pedophiles and rapists. That's it.
Of Arabic in different villages, different Arab neighborhoods.
Yeah, exactly. He's saying now that they speak different Arabic, but before he argued that the word captive women means exactly the same thing between Hamas and ISIS. It's insane. It's insane. These people are really dumb. The people on the screen are really dumb. Like all these books, these are for show. He does not read these. These are not for research. These are not for study. These are for show. He buys them to look cool on his shelf. That's why they are all pretty. That's why there aren't like. That's why notice they're all in sets. Look how many of them are in sets. Look how many of them are in nice, pristine sets. Look how all of them are hardcover. You ain't finding shit like this on his shelf.
Different way from those. Now, this comes in societies which, for generations, live in clans, because the clannish societies in the Middle East are the result of the desert. In the desert, you have to stick to your source of water and to defend it. Otherwise, you're dead. And in order to defend your source of water, you cannot live as an individual, because the individual is weak while the group is strong. You have to live as a group. And the strongest group is the family, the father and the sons. And after a generation, it's the grandchildren, means the cousins. And after a generation, there are the second cousins and the third cousins. What do you get? A clan, extended family. Some would say tribe. The name doesn't make any difference. The thing is that everybody has to be a relative of each other. And this actually what gives the cohesiveness, which allows them, which enables them to face the other groups in the fight on the water. Because unfortunately, the desert doesn't have enough water. And this is the source of the mindset of the Middle East, which prevails in this area for who knows how many hundreds of thousands of years since human beings started to live in this area.
I'm curious for that, because I've heard you talk about this in regards to your ideal plan for Palestinians would be the kind of the emirate solution.
Because the emirate solution is the only thing which is based on the clan.
What?
This is why the Emirates in the Gulf, Kuwait, Qatar, the 7 Emirates in the United Arab Emirates.
Oh, so he does explicitly want to balkanize the Palestinians then. What the fuck?
7. And Saudi Arabia and Oman are the only stable countries in the Middle East. Why? Because each and every one of them is one single clan.
I'm pretty sure it's because they got compromised by American investment.
Kuwait belongs to Al Sabah. Qatar belongs to Al Thani. This is the name of the clan. Dubai belongs to Al Maktoum. Abu Dhabi, Al Nahyan. Saudi Arabia, Al Saud.
Who's gonna? What are you breaking up the Palestinians into exactly? What?
Okay, so when you base a state on one consolidated, stable group, the country is flourishing.
The United Arab Emirates is not a single emirate. What?
If you have oil like Abu Dhabi and Kuwait, you are rich because of the oil. If you are
these aren't states. These are regions within a state.
If you don't have oil like Dubai, you make money out of business. Iraq, Libya, two very heavy.
These aren't states. These are regions within a state. What are you talking about? This is like breaking up Iraq into the different domains of its warlords.
Oil producers are mayhem. Hell on earth. Not because of the oil. In spite of the oil. Why? Because they are sharply divided to 70-something clans in Iraq. 4 ethnic groups, Kurds, Arabs, Turkmens, and Persians. 10 religions, only in Iraq. 10
okay, how does that apply to Israel?
religions and sects. Who knows how many?
How does this apply to Israel? What are you talking about, dude?
So when the society is made out of so many groups, which never be
He's saying you need a clan to lead a successful state, and those which are multi-clan are failed. Then how does Israel work? You think Israel is Israel wasn't a monolith? What are you talking about?
became a nation. There is no Iraqi nation. There are Iraqi citizens. But unlike in America, which citizenship makes you an American, here in the Middle East, you have to belong to us.
Here in the Middle East? What the fuck is the Middle East? The Middle East isn't a country. The Middle East is a region, as relevant to external factors. The Middle East isn't the Middle East to people in the Middle East. That doesn't mean anything. That's a relational statement. You think they were calling themselves the Middle East before the British Empire was a thing? Like, what are you talking about?
To our clan, or to our religion, or to our sect.
Read what I said. His argument is literally that Israel is white, so it doesn't apply to it. Has he said that explicitly? I think it was... Wait.
Or our people. Otherwise, hell with you. And this is the mindset of the Middle East.
Like that's a weird statement in and of itself, because white originally didn't mean what it means now. There are people that are generally regarded as white, naively, right now, that historically were not regarded as white. The Irish, for example. Which is weird. Apparently, I'm not white in a certain time and place. Which is very odd.
Unfortunately, Westerners, when they come here, and all they know the geography, that Iraq has Euphrates and Tigris and maybe some canals, and that's it. That's what they know. But they don't enter the door of sociology.
They don't enter the door of sociology. Only accessible in the halls of time.
They don't get it. They don't understand that the Middle Eastern societies work
Sunday embrace being Irish. No, I like eating food.
according to totally different rules compared to Western rules in Western Europe or America or whatever. And this is the source of all evil, and this is the source of the failures which we saw in Afghanistan, in Iraq, everywhere when the West started or tried to design countries like Syria, like Lebanon, which were all designed by France between the two world wars. These are mayhems. Britain, which established Iraq, learned from the mistake, and when they came out from the Gulf during the 60s into the 70s, they left behind them clannish states, means emirates.
But they weren't states. They weren't states, sir.
And this is why emirates are working, functioning as good countries, not as democracies. They are not democracy, but their culture, the clan culture, actually fits the new state, which is based on the traditional culture. While Syria, Iraq, Libya, Sudan, all are...
Okay, here's a question for you. Do the United Arab Emirates as a single entity do diplomacy as a single entity? Are they divided in their diplomacy? No? Then they aren't states. They aren't states. That's not what that means. Oh my god. A basic entry-level political science is beyond all of the people running the world today. It's terrifying. It's fucking terrifying. They don't understand the definitions of the terms they're using. A state is something that has full autonomy and full sovereignty, and sovereignty is very important. It does not mean that it is written down somewhere that you have sovereignty. It means that you have control. It means that you have the power of a god within your territory. If you are determined by anything outside of you, you're not a state. That's not a thing.
Are based on Western ideas of socialism, like the Ba'ath Party, both in Iraq and Syria, or liberalism, or democracy, or whatever comes from the West, which doesn't fit the societies of the Middle East. Just like if you try to run your iPhone with the system of Android.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, no. The UAE is a state. The trucial states, the Emirates, they existed at the pleasure of the British Empire. That's not a thing. Yeah, exactly. They're states like the United States. States are states. They're not states. They're not really states. No, not really. There is federal law. They would have to separate formally, and they probably wouldn't be allowed to very easily to have sovereignty. I decided to grab food. Is Destiny losing? I mean, he's losing, just not because of this. This is more of a symptom than a trigger.
Doesn't work.
Why do you think, if you look at a country like Egypt, why do you think Egypt was like relatively stable compared to, say, Yemen when that was?
Egypt wasn't invaded by the United States and Saudi Arabia, and I mean, you can kind of leave it there, to be honest with you. Egypt did not have the full weight of global capitalism turned against it to destroy it from within and from without. Egypt wasn't genocided in the way Yemen was. By America, by the British, by Saudi Arabia.
It went through a process, a very agonizing process of...
Oh no, see, that's the actual reason. Egypt went through an agonizing process of secularizing itself. There you go. That's the ticket. That's it. That's what it was.
Dismemberment of the clans because of the High Dam. The High Dam, the Aswan Dam, which was built during the 50s by the Soviet Union in order to modernize the state, because otherwise they had floods because of the Nile, had floods twice a year.
That doesn't modernize the state. That neutralizes a single natural exigency.
But you cannot...
Modernizing a state has to do with augmenting it, altering, and elaborating its administrative capacities, that you have a functioning bureaucracy so that you can have cohesive plans that treat the entire territory of the state as a single entity with a single agent running it from the top. That's how you get a state. Getting a dam in is great, cool, doesn't have anything to do with that.
Run a modern country when all the infrastructure is dissolved through the floods twice a year. So,
is he covering the Butler video? No, because we had more super chats for this, so that's how it works. I gotta eat and pay rent, guys. I'm sorry. Hate to break it to you.
They decided to put an end.
I don't make Destiny bucks. I don't get paid thousands of dollars just to do whatever I want.
To the floods by building the...
I'd rather cover the Butler stuff. I find that much more positively interesting. But apparently, there's a bunch of perverts in the audience who really love to watch Destiny, cavort with genocide. Genocidal nutballs.
Hide them in Aswan. And all the peasants who once lived on water which they got for free from the Nile, now they have to buy water and fertilizers because
water from the Nile.
It's a desert. But who has money? So they moved to the cities. So millions of Egyptians since the 60s, into the 70s, moved from the village to the city, to Cairo, to Alexandria, to Komoshim, Asyut, Beirut, or Europe, or America, in order to work. So the modern Egypt society is made not by clans, but by individuals who live in Cairo and all these cities. And when you live...
Gaza used to have several universities in which people went to go study, and then they went abroad. It was one of the paths out of Gaza, because Gaza is a miserable place to live because of Israel. There are people who have businesses there. They go there to work. Like, this is... I'm sorry. You moron. You clown. No.
Even as individuals, you can bring in ideologies like Islamism, as we see tremendously in Egypt. You can bring in Nazism, like the nationalism of Egypt. You can bring all kinds of isms which do not have to compete with tribalism, which doesn't exist anymore, especially in the cities.
That's not true.
Mm-hmm. In the villages, those who remain in the villages are still clannish society, but they are small, they don't have the power is in the city. So the Egyptian city resembles, let's say, New York or San Francisco, much more than Baghdad or Damascus.
Okay.
Among other things, there's been a lot of pan-Arab movements recently, including, by the way, those associated with Nasser, so this is very strange by itself.
When you look at a country like Saudi Arabia, there are so many different people that live here. Is this all like...
No, Saudi Arabia is a country which is run by a family, extended family, named Al Saud.
Yeah.
Is all the descendants of the founding king, who is the father of today's king, Salman bin Abdulaziz. His name was Abdulaziz, but from the family of Saud. And this is why the name of the country, Saudi, Saudi, or Saudi Arabia.
Thank you for that Wikipedia history.
As long as this clan, named the Saudi clan, is united, consolidated, and ruling the country, nobody can have any issue with it.
Are you stupid? There's tons of issues with it. They have to kill journalists inside of their own country because they are terrified of internal dissent. This is well known. Fucking clown show. No, there's not clan unity inside Saudi Arabia. There's tremendous amounts of foreign investment and corruption. If you want to understand Saudi Arabia and you understand how Russia currently operates under Putin, there you go. You figured it out. That's what it is. That's actually, by the way, grand irony in all of this. If you're opposed, if you hate the Houthis, but you turn a blind eye to the Sauds, you're insane. You're insane.
Of course, the opposition. They have two oppositions. One in the south, which Bin Laden came from, and one, the Shi'i
Saudis, not Sauds. I'm
community,
tired.
which lives in Saudi Arabia, who lives in the east, next to Bahrain, Hufuf, this part of the country. However, in Saudi Arabia, the name of the religious game is the Wahhabism, because they are part of this sect, kind of religious thinking. And according to the
Wow. The name of the game is Wahhabism because they are part of this religious thing. What a profound, what a very, what an incisive observation, Mordecai.
Wahhabism, the Shia is some kind of infidelity to that degree.
Sure.
By the way, this is why they look at the Persians and at Iran as people who always came out of
Wahhabism is less recent than Shiism.
Islam. This is part of the problem, which unfortunately people do not understand the depth of the enmity between Saudi Arabia and Iran.
Okay, anyone who thinks that the issue between Saudi Arabia and Iran or Iran and anywhere is religious in nature is an idiot. It is not religious in nature. That is not a factor. Like to be clear, that is an accoutrement and a glazing on top of the very real economic and military and clandestine oppression and violence that takes place between them. It has nothing to do whatsoever with religious differences. Those are not a factor. Those are not a factor. This is like Professor Jang level. People who talk about like religion as if it is causal are morons. I cannot stress this enough. People go to war based on filling their stomachs and having the conditions of wealth and prestige. They don't care about religion. They really don't. People talk about caring about religion because it is an ornament. It's an ornament. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody cares. They really don't. People talk about how they care. They pretend to care because it gives them comfort and it gives them justification for doing a whole lot of really terrible things with an unassailable, abstract, confusing, and reality ungrounded set of justifications. You get to pursue glory using that means. You get to have an identity using the means of religion. You get to feel like you're going to live forever because of religion. That's it. Nobody cares. Yeah, he doesn't even know how the Shia came to be. He thinks that they're like coeval and their enmity is based on like a religious. It's like Jesus Christ, man.
But it goes to this area as well.
Yeah, I guess my question is so I don't know the clan makeup of all the people of Saudi Arabia, but I imagine that you have your ruling family. Why is it that clan was able to rule the entire country instead of having to split the country?
This is
into
actually
a
a
ton of
combination of clans,
yeah,
which the founding father actually married one of the daughters of the leaders of all the clans which he annexed to his kingdom. He had dozens of wives. And this is why all these tribes, they won't rebel against somebody whose daughter is there and her children will be emirs, means princes, or even kings. So
there's got to be something more that would hold it together, though, right?
Tons of money, foreign investment, and a violent police state held by an absolute monarchy. That's what. That's how it does it. Holy fuck! Read Wikipedia for God's sake, Stephen. That's your speed. Oh my God!
I can't imagine that just America's got to be like.
The king, to begin with, I'm talking about 100 years ago.
Okay, that's not this. 100 years ago. 100 years ago, Aragorn took the throne of Gondor. Okay, and that's what happened. Fucking hell!
He united the kingdom with marriage. This is the way in the Middle East which you show your allegiance.
This is the way in the Middle East? That's just how it works in the Middle... The Middle East isn't a country, dipshit.
You give him your daughter. This is the Middle East.
What's the middle between? This is Middle Earth. What's it the middle between, sir?
100 years ago, daughters were not asked so much with whom they want to be married. And in some cases...
That was the case in Europe. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Many cases in the Middle East until this very day. Girls are those who will be married with their cousins. Second cousin or third cousin, but definitely in the clan, because the other clan is the enemy. You won't give your daughter to your enemy. How come? They are mush minna, as they say in Arabic, not from us.
I mean, you absolutely would. It's actually historically well-known means of ending hostilities.
This is, by the way, the price is tremendous of genetic problems, which are preserved. And in Saudi Arabia, you are not allowed to marry a lady unless you both take a test for the Ministry of Health, and only with their license you can get married, in order not to perpetuate genetic problems.
Why do you think, when you look at the Palestinians today in Israel, what would prevent them from engaging in, I guess, a similar sort of like, either through marriage or something else, of being more united? Why?
What? What?
Why do you think it's best for them to work in separate, kind of like Emiratis, I guess, or
I'm
Emirates?
I'm not telling them what to do. I, as a researcher, go out and see how they behave.
I notice he hasn't mentioned the name of a single tribe.
I see a situation that, let's say, in Judea and Samaria, what people call the West Bank. If you tell me the family name of somebody, I'll tell you where he lives.
Give
if
an
his
example.
name is Jabari
Okay.
or Kawasme or Natche, Tamimi or Abu Snena,
Okay.
he lives in Hebron.
Okay. Okay.
If his name is Masri or Tukan or Shaka,
Okay.
he lives in Nablus.
All right. Who's the warlord who's going to unite those groups?
If his name is Karmi, he lives in Tulkarem. If his name is Arikat, he lives either in Jericho or in another place which is the extension of this place. And that's it. Means this is a clannish society because
It's a clannish society because you can associate last names with a city? What?
in the clan system, clan mindset, the homeland is the village and the tribe or the clan. This is the homeland. If you cross the street and you live within another clan, you will forever be viewed as a foreigner.
Do you think that Arabs in Israel, do you think they share similar feelings, or do you think not?
The Arabs in Israel, who are like 20% of our population, are what they call in sociology a society in transition. Because on one side, their background is the Arab world, the Islamic world, which is very clannish, and also Islam has what to say. By the way, Islam is rather young, only 14 centuries, compared to the clan system, which is already who knows how many hundreds of thousands of years. So some of them definitely are still clannish, some of them are Islamic.
Some of them are clannish, some of them are Islamic. He thinks these are exclusive.
Some of them are modern because of the friction between them and the Jewish modern liberal society.
No, they're all modern because the entire idea of a Palestinian identity is produced by the emergence of state structures around them. It only even makes sense. It's only even coherent in the 19th century. Like, what are you talking about? This is incredibly dumb.
As we are. Yet the problem is that it's like a half-baked cake. Some parts are closer to us. Some of them are serving in the army because they are Israelized, I would say, all the way. While others, who, let's say, those who belong to the Islamic movement, especially the northern...
By the way, if you want to know how gross this is, just imagine that Destiny's talking to someone who's saying this of Africans. It becomes very clear because people in North America and in the UK are largely conditioned to treating people in the Middle East like they're barbaric and backwards and living in medieval times. But as soon as you start talking about this in terms of societies that white society, quote unquote, America has enslaved in the past, it suddenly becomes very clear what's going on. One of the reasons why I have a not actually perverse, but it feels perverse appreciation for the work of Benny Morris, because Benny Morris, who again is a freak, Benny Morris actually writes in his book that the way in which Palestinian society in the last century was essentially situated in Israeli society was as a slave territory. It was essentially enslaved. It was essentially used as a people who could be exploited for cheap labor. That's the level we're operating at. And if it doesn't seem like that, if you were aloof to this, if you are not recognizing this as essentially the kind of rhetoric that you would hear from soft-spoken slavery apologists in the pre-Civil War South, that is because you are a racist. Maybe not intentionally, maybe you're propagandized too, maybe you haven't thought about this too hard, but that's because you are a racist. That's what this is. And a lot of people are and don't realize it. Doesn't mean they're malicious, means they don't know. Because you are, to a certain deep extent, what you eat, and you consume the discourse of your environment, and the environment that we live in here saturates us with rhetoric that dehumanizes other people and relegates their situation to one in which the normal rules by which we treat other people in our day-to-day no longer apply. Oh, it's medieval. Oh, it's a different thing. It's a different place, okay? You know, we learned hundreds of years ago that slavery was bad, which is why hundreds of years later we still did it, but with a guilty conscience. They haven't gotten to that point yet because they're medieval, right? That's what it is.
Faction which is very radical, like Hamas, the Israeli, those whose heart is with Hamas, they not only they don't serve the army, they consider the state to be a deed of Satan. And that's what they say. And still they are citizens and they get all the benefits of being a citizens of Israel.
Yeah, he's using Satan as if it's a synonym for the Christian Satan. That's not how that works. Satan refers to the enemy. And incidentally, if you are a person who has to work for a living, the state is your enemy. The state is something that exists using you as a surrogate because it can no longer enslave humans anymore. That's what's going on. Oh, did Morbid Noob end her stream after 20 minutes? She's having camera issues. That's a shame. I guess we'll keep going.
Why do you think that for international media, or at least when I hear international advocacy for Palestinians, do you think that the world community that is pro-Palestinian, or even the Palestinians that are talking about Palestine?
She's had a couple of short streams. She can't get her system to work, it looks like. Damn.
Issues internationally, are they missing that clan aspect of Palestinians living in Nablus or Ramallah or Hebron, or because I don't ever hear that internationally when they speak. It's always about like a nation or a country. Yeah.
Hang on, I need to hear this again. What?
Or even the Palestinians that are talking about Palestinian issues internationally, are they missing that clan aspect?
No, they aren't missing that clan aspect, you fucking doofus. A lot of these people are Palestinians who would have lived in it. Rashid Khalidi has an ancestral household in Israeli territory right now. They didn't miss this, they were born from it. If it doesn't factor into their logic, it's because it doesn't matter. These people are so dumb.
Of Palestinians living in Nablus or Ramallah or Hebron, or because I don't ever hear that internationally when they speak. It's always about like a nation or a country. Yeah.
It's not politically correct to talk about clans.
What do you mean it's not politically correct to talk about clans? Sure it is. If there are serious players that are familial clans in Palestine that can organize the Palestinian people with effect and maybe be the basis of a constitutional system, that's not politically incorrect to talk about. That would be extremely relevant. Leftists would talk about this. It's the exact same thing that happened when the United States tried to hold Iraq. They had to work with the clans because that was the only way they could maintain order, was by maintaining and supporting and buying off other power systems that were already there. Clans would be the basis of a Palestinian state if they were powerful. Obviously, they're not. Obviously. Rashid Khalidi has written books on the emergence of Palestinian identity. I've had arguments with Jemt about this. This is elementary, but also it's worse than that, because you don't need to go that far. Oh, hey, Gnostic Informant, how you doing? You don't need to go that far. All you need to do is point out that, hey, look, all of these people who are deeply how about Hirani? Anyone ever read a history of the Arab peoples? He was a Palestinian and a Palestinian advocate. He actually worked at the UN. Great book, by the way. This doesn't come up. Why? You were wrong Sunday? What was I know we were wrong about that. We were debating about a timeline thing. But it's also a thing that I don't necessarily agree with Khalidi on, because Khalidi's got a weird state theory. We'll get into that later. But leaving that aside, if clans were a basis for organizing the tribes, don't you think that would be a thing they'd be doing right now? Yeah, I was joking. Well, fuck you. Stop joking. I'm overly sensitive right now. I'm under a lot of pressure. Okay? I'm in my comfort cardigan right now. You should know that. I'm easily triggered right now. Jerks. I surround myself with mods who just like torment me day and night. Ugh.
What are they? Clans? Tribes? It doesn't sound politically correct to Western ear, but this.
I'm fine with saying clans. Why would I care about saying clans or tribes? What? We talk about tribes all the time. What?
The situation in the Middle East. What I can do? What can I do? Look.
Who's he talking about? No, seriously. What are they referring to? By the way, Destiny has no, like, Destiny is not progressive. Destiny is a conservative who happens to want to fuck whatever he sees. That's the difference between Destiny and a conservative. That's it. The one positive that can be said very loosely about conservatives, that is, they have some attentiveness whatsoever to the responsibilities around sex, even if they have completely wrong priorities about that, is the one thing that separates Destiny from Big Papa Fascist. Which is, Destiny has the exact same attitude towards sexual assault as Big Papa Fascist. He just thinks it should also include men. That's it. That's it. Stop introducing these people as leftists at your talks. You immediately disqualify yourselves from any credibility, both from liberals and from leftists. Because liberals don't like leftists, because liberals are conservatives who are cowards and hedging their bets. Leftists don't like slave societies in which women are treated as products to be exchanged for money.
Called Palestinians are carrying names like Al-Masri, means the Egyptian. Masarwa, Egyptians in plural. Fayoumi, from Fayoum in Egypt. Ismaili, from Ismailia, a town on the Suez Canal. Al-Khorani, from the Khoran in Syria. Al-Sorani.
By the way, I've got a really nice edition of this. Albert Hirani is A History of the Arab Peoples. If you can get this edition in hardcover, it is beautiful. It is so well made. Oh my god. It is so very pretty. Sewn binding. Ugh. Oh, it is so nice. It is so nice. I think it even has full color illustrations. Let me see if I can't No, not full cover, but very well produced. Very pretty. If you want to, this is really good, by the way. This is really good. The cover art does look nice. This thing is freaking gorgeous. It's like beautifully made. Oh! Oh! What the hell is that? Oh. It's my copy of Powhatan's World getting in the way. It's too dark. It's disappearing in the shadows. Whoa. I have too much stuff on my shelf. Here we go.
From Sor, means Tyre, in Lebanon. Sidawi, from Sidon, in Lebanon. Al-Hijazi. Hijaz is in Saudi Arabia, Mecca and Medina. Many of them carry names until this very day, which testify that these people are not originally from here. So what are they doing here? They came to work. Since the Zionist movement started to come to this country towards the end of the 19th century, there were jobs here. Building Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv was established in 1909, still when the Ottomans were here, before the First World War. So many Arabs, Bedouins, came to work in Tel Aviv because there was jobs and income. And they became Palestinians. Okay, even the Arab world knows their origin, because when they ran out from here in the hostilities of 1948, the War of Independence, they usually ran back to the countries which they came from. But those countries, under the flag of the Arab League, decided not to allow them to go back to the places which they originally came from, and they kept them in the refugee camps until this very day. And unfortunately, the world still resuscitates this problem of the refugees. Where in the world you see refugees from the 40s? And their great-grandchildren today are refugees. There is no such a thing in the whole world. Because according to UNHCR, United Nations High Commission for Refugees, you can be refugees up to 10 years, not even one day more. Up to 10 years. Secondly, you cannot inherit it to your children. Your children wait until you make children, until you settle. And the third thing, when you have a citizenship of any country in the world, you are not a refugee anymore. And lo and behold, in Jordan, for example, you have many citizens of the Kingdom of Jordan, yet they consider themselves to be refugees from here, and the world is paying for this. Mind-boggling.
Why do you think, if we even look at like Palestinian leaders, so people like Abbas or people like Arafat, why is it that they seem to be so oriented? What do you think their
Why is it they seem to be so oriented?
desire for a state or a country comes from that's so separated from this idea of clans or families?
Because they don't have any power. That's why. That's why. You have a society that's been completely decimated and subjugated. There ain't no like powerful families of lawyers and statesmen anymore. This isn't the fucking 30s. Like, I'm sorry. Because you stole their territory and broke down their society into itty-bitty bits.
Or where these people actually originate from.
First of all, Mahmoud Abbas was born in Tzfat, which is in the Galilee. Neither in Judea and Samaria, let alone Gaza.
So?
They see him as a foreigner.
So what? Why does that matter?
Who was brought from Tunisia.
I don't even know if that's true. Why does that matter?
You know, in 1993, because of the Oslo agreements.
Like, here's a question: if that's so, if he's seen as a foreigner, why wasn't that a deterrent to him taking his position? Why wasn't that a thing that deterred him? Because either clans have power or they don't. It's one or the other.
And he's not one of them. This is why he doesn't go to visit neither Hebron nor Nablus, let alone Gaza. Once he was in Gaza, and the bullet passed 10 centimeters near his face and killed one of his bodyguards. Okay, so he understood it. He's persona non grata in Gaza, undesirable person. Okay, so he doesn't visit Gaza anymore, and doesn't visit neither Hebron nor Nablus, not anyone, nowhere else. He goes out from his office in Ramallah only to go abroad. Show me another president in the world who functions like this. Now, he was elected in 2006 for 4 years. We are today 14 years after this, because every year the head of the PLO, Abu Mazen, renews the authority of the PA president, Abu Mazen, with his signature. Okay, this is the democracy which...
Sure, I understand.
So he is illegitimate. He is totally illegitimate in the eyes of the Palestinians.
By the way, Morbid Zoo is not streaming tonight, so I won't be sending you there, but she says I always send good ones.
He's acceptable only as long as they bring them money. The whole thing is about money. Arafat, formerly, was born in Egypt. And when he became older, he returned to his Egyptian language, and which is a totally different dialect. And he was accepted only as long as he continued the struggle against Israel. Even when he was...
Wait a minute.
signing,
Is he trying to say that Arafat was an Egyptian? What? Wait.
returned in Egypt. And when he became older...
Okay, but who was his... Okay, he was born in Egypt. Where was his father from? Where was his father from? Gaza. Okay, so just picture this for a second. What do you mean? They're not Palestinian. They were born abroad, away from Palestine. Imagine if you applied this logic to Jewish immigrants to Israel for 5 seconds. They're not Palestinian. They're in the diaspora that was displaced due to colonialism. His family is literally from Gaza. One generation. Like imagine saying that. Well, what do you mean? They don't have a right to go to Israel. They were born in Europe. You're missing the logic, Sunday. I don't think I am. Oh, they're special in white coat. Oh, true. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, yeah. Okay, fair.
He returned to his Egyptian language, and which is totally different dialect. And he was accepted only as long as he continued the struggle against Israel. Even when he was signing on the lawn of the White House in September 1993, the Oslo agreements with Israel, he came with uniform as a combatant. Excuse me? You signed a peace agreement. Now, he said it always, that this peace agreement is Hudaybiyah peace. Hudaybiyah peace means in Islam temporary peace.
Yeah, until you can fight again.
Which a Muslim is allowed to give the infidel, whether the Jew, Christians, or whatever, only as long as the enemy is too strong, invincible, deterring, and dangerous to mess with. In this case, you can give him temporary peace. According to the Islamic mindset, it's called the Salam Hudaybiyah, means the peace of Hudaybiyah. According to the clan system, or clan laws, it's called Hudna. Hudna. So, either Hudna or Hudaybiyah peace, this is what he said to his people every day, that this peace is only temporary peace. And yes, he violated this agreement in 2000, when he thought that we are too weak, that we ran out of Lebanon in the days when Ehud Barak was the prime minister. So then he started the second intifada, started to blow
He started the second, just a guy. A single guy started the second intifada.
up our buses and our restaurants and people in the street. More than 1,000 people were killed gradually by Arafat and his gangs. And not only this, he established the PA, and the idea was that he will fight Hamas.
Hey, fun fact, by the way, the PA was ratified by Israel precisely to sideline those Palestinian advocates who wanted a peaceable state equality relationship with Israel in which there was no more conflict. Why? Because they wanted all the territory. Israel wanted all of the Palestinian territory without any conditions. So they took the stupid, corrupt Arafat, gave him special privileges and his party special privileges, and they started to act as the secret police for Israel, which is one of the reasons why Hamas was able to come into power, because of the grotesque corruption of the existing Palestinian Authority, which Israel wanted. There were people operating at the UN, including, by the way, the guy I just showed, Hirani, as well as Rashid Khalidi and so on. There's books about this, who were presenting like really nuanced, careful plans for a peaceful division of authority and control over the territory so that Palestinians could engage economically with Israel. They didn't want to expel the Israelis. They didn't have the capacity or the interest to. They wanted for Palestinians to have a level of autonomy and to have dignity and to be able to operate as humans. So they brought in Arafat because they could say, look, we made a deal. And they could put the corrupt Arafat in charge with special privileges. He didn't have to drive the the alternate streets. He had a special ticket. He could go down the Israeli ones. He wasn't subject to apartheid. So him and his goons got to be the mob bosses in Palestine. Because Israel wanted that. The PA is where it is, where it was. Hamas is where it is, where it was, because Israel has elected for that to be the case. Destiny is soaking up the propaganda like a sponge. Oh, I don't know about that. It's going in one ear and out the other. He's stupid. He has no investment or interest in this. He's dumb as a rock. He has no idea. He doesn't know what he's hearing. He's not retaining any of it. Destiny has one interest in all of this. Can he look vaguely intellectual while he sits there and asks inane questions and then goes silent because he has nothing to critique? He has no grasp of the situation in order to point out, like, hey, that didn't make a lot of sense. Can you elaborate on this? He can't say anything. He's got a list of things. Or stuff comes up. It's like, oh, you talked about clans law. Can you tell me about why online leftists don't know about the clan stuff? He didn't even have specifics. He didn't have a specific name. This is the guy who would be sitting around the table with your racist uncle. You know, you brought your date over, and he's trying to be really cool. So he's just nodding to your racist uncle while you were cringing quietly in the background. And it doesn't even occur to him that he's losing you rather than winning you.
Instead of us, because we apparently couldn't. And this was the whole raison d'etre of establishing the PA, that Arafat will come in order to fight the Hamas. And
Hamas wasn't around when the PA... What? He thinks the PA was established to fight Hamas. What the hell? Let me get exact numbers here. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude.
the Islamic Jihad without Bagatz and without B'Tselem, means without the Supreme Court and without the
rules,
the human rights organizations. Okay, but he didn't mean at all. Look, what he mean? He actually demonstrates in this scarf, and this is the PLO flag. On one side they said Al-Quds Lana, Jerusalem is ours. Since when Jerusalem is theirs? When was Jerusalem a capital of anything connected to the Arab or the Islamic world? Not for one day. But the other side of the scarf is this, Palestine. This is why you need Arab.
Like, man. Like, the Palestinian Authority was established after the Oslo Accords. Hamas wasn't that kind of entity then. Like, it wasn't. There are books you can read about the history of Hamas, which was only started in 1987. Like, this is a difference of under 10 years. And up until this point, there were Hamas operatives that were against suicide attacks. Those people were frequently assassinated. It's like, oh my god. So like, let me just pull up good old Wikipedia, because my books are over there. I don't want to reach for them because I've got stuff in front of them. I want to double check and make sure that I'm getting my time right for. Yeah, Hamas was founded in 1987. That was after the first Intifada. Like, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, no. It's completely ass backwards here.
Palestine, from the river to the sea. So where is Israel?
Not on that. Yeah.
Maybe in the sea, among the sharks. Okay? And this is Arafat. And unfortunately, we Israelis, especially the left side of the political map, they believed him. And this is why no left in Israel. There is almost no left. Because they fell in this trap.
No, it's because you jail them and you bully them and you have an assassination complex that kills people who speak out too loudly against the current regime. You're operating at a Putin level, dude. You have people protesting for the right for prison guards to sexually molest their prisoners. There's no left there because you're a Nazi state. Your state is overrun by Nazis.
Willingly, because they were warned time and again and again and again. You are deceived by this man.
But that man was only there because Israel elected him to be that man. Specifically to avoid having to deal, ironically enough, actually, with born and raised Palestinian advocates from Palestine. Like, that was why. Arafat was effectively in exile and in hiding when the Oslo Accords were done.
And you know what? Let me give you a story.
Can I ask a quick question before the start?
Yeah.
I'm curious. So let's say that that's the thought process, that people who are negotiating from these positions, people like Arafat, aren't to be trusted. Do you think that that would have prevented, like, Israel from making peace with Egypt or Israel from making peace with Jordan if that same mentality had persisted?
Whose mentality? What?
Or why do you think those were different?
Look, when Sadat made the
That wasn't a question that made any sense given the previous conversation. He's not responding to this. He's rambling. He's the racist uncle.
peace with us in 1979, he had a fatwa. Fatwa means religious ruling by the Al-Azhar. Al-Azhar is the supreme religious authority of Egypt, which allowed him to make peace with the Zionists, with Israel, just like our Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, peace be upon him, gave to the infidels of Mecca in Hudaybiyah. Means that the peace between Israel and Egypt is based on the same idea of temporary peace, which will last only as long as Israel is powerful, dangerous, invincible. When will this pass? I don't know. So far, this peace exists. What will be with the day which they view or think that we are weak? I have no idea. But what they prepare in Sinai doesn't give good thoughts about what the intentions of the Egyptians are.
Do you think that Hussein in Jordan, do you think he felt the same way, that all of that peace was only temporary?
I didn't find the mention of Hudaybiyah in the peace between us and Jordan. And this is why the majority of the citizens of Jordan objected. They always say, your peace agreement with a ruling family. And the ruling family, don't forget, is not Jordanian. The ruling family is from the Hijaz. They were expelled by the Saudis. And the British gave them the Transjordan Emirate in 1924, which turned to be the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan.
Yeah, but that's the same thing that happened with Israel. It doesn't seem to be a problem for them.
Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. And the majority, they are like...
States are institutions of war. If you had a situation of permanent peace, you wouldn't need states. The entire purpose to a state is that you have something that's able to mobilize the military capacity of a region against its enemies in order to maintain a particular system of law and order within that territory against other forces that would encroach on it. That's how that works. There is no such thing as a perpetual peace treaty with a state system. States fundamentally have a knives-out posture of permanent warfare against other states. That's how they work. Which, by the way, is another reason, actually it's the same reason, but put another way, for why there will never be a two-state solution on the table. Not really. And when you read over the two-state solutions that have been proffered by Israel in the past, they have always always ceded essential freedoms and powers to the Israeli state, making the Palestinian state no state in fact. Case in point, the failed Camp David negotiations, no control over water, no control over borders, no control over airspace, no control over immigration, no control over diplomacy. What is left at that point? You get to administrate what the Israeli state allots to you. That's a province. That's not a state.
Less than 100 people, this family. They control...
Reminder, this guy was a lieutenant colonel and worked 25 years in military intelligence. Yeah, but if you want to know about how smart people in military intelligence are, just look at the CIA in Iran, okay? Being in intelligence for a very long period of time does not make you intelligent.
With 90% of people who define...
Sunday, didn't the ancient Greeks succeed in going to war without a centralized state that controlled every city? Absolutely. But the point is not that you couldn't go to war without a state. The point is that a state exists specifically as a technology of war. At some point, the bow and arrow was invented. At some point, the catapult was invented, and so on and so forth. You had war before then, obviously, but maybe a condition of successfully competing in warfare was that you had those techs, right?
Find themselves as Palestinians, who have nothing to do with this clan, and the rest are Bedouins, who also do not share much with this clan. Only maybe the language, but not much. So this is the main.
No. To be clear, like just as the people are saying in chat, like, oh, this is just entertainment. We aren't. I think it's important to talk about this stuff, and I think it's useful to think about this stuff, and so on and so forth. And I think educating ourselves and thinking about this stuff, and even feeling outrage about certain just like things and becoming aware of people, that's not meaningless. It's not political action. Streaming does not affect politics or affect people's decisions, not in that particular kind of way. So, like, if you're entertained by this, weird. But secondly, I wouldn't say it's meaningless per se, but one of the things I do reinforce very constantly, it's one of the reasons why I appreciate Emma Vigeland saying this when they were at that incredibly pretentious like StreamerCon thing, is YouTube streaming is not political action, full stop. It will not change anything. Do not fall under the delusion that you following your favorite streamer is making any impact on the world. You are a symptom of the state of the world and nothing more. Your action in those streams means nothing at all. Go out if you want to start building something real. Go out, make friends, become a support to someone around you, so that when your community is oppressed, the weaker parts of it, you feel that as well. So that the power of the weakest of you is augmented by the power of the strongest of you, and by the multitude of you. That's how that works. Build resilient communities on the ground. That's how that functions. Going into a comment section or going into a rally or whatever, this means less than nothing. It is fundamentally an expenditure of your energy to no end except the enjoyment and the personal benefit, perhaps, that you get from that. Maybe it encourages you to read something. One of my favorite my favorite experience as a creator, and I got a message this morning actually like that, is when people come into my DMs, they're like, hey, you got me to read stuff. Cool. That's awesome. And what's awesome about that is because I'm not that smart, but if I got someone to read somebody smart and to think about stuff, that's a win-win. My existence is justified. Yay. I don't need to feel bad about myself and I log off at the end of the day. I like that kind of thing. But that does not make my stream political action. Streams 1,000 times my size are not engaging in real political action. We got to be realistic about this, because when people think they're doing real political action when they're watching streams, they are insufferable. They are the worst. That's where your Keffels and your DGGs come from. They're awful. Don't be like that.
Problem of the Jordanian kingdom, it is actually based on a family which will rule the country only as long as the army and the intelligence and the security are with them, because they are vicious. The Palestinians tried in 1970 to rebel against the kingdom, so the kingdom slaughtered them. Thousands of them. Black September.
Yeah.
What happened? So this is Jordan. To say that this family will forever be the kingdom of Jordan, I have no idea.
I'm curious, you mentioned something for Arafat. Do you believe that Arafat, when you said that he kicked off or started the second intifada, do you think that he actually like planned and went through and started that? Or do you think he just kind of like hoped it would happen? Or
we have all the proofs. There are books which were written based on documents which were found. in his headquarters that he actually planned. And look, he never meant to take really care of the terror.
What?
We know the revolving door means when we
Arafat actively took part in the terror in the Second Intifada. What are you talking about?
told him to catch something from Hamas, he would keep the man during the day in.
Because like one of the things that happened in the Second Intifada as opposed to the First Intifada is that groups tried to broadcast their radicalness by engaging in that same type of action, largely because of a really dismal and nihilistic situation, which nothing else seemed to work, but also because it's sort of like with Trump, where he would do crazy stuff, and then a whole bunch of people who were actually more moderate were like, oh, well, maybe this will shake things up. They would go that route. It was sort of drain the swamp mentality. Different groups competed with each other for that. It's one of the reasons why you suddenly, where this First Intifada was defined largely by the well-broadcast victimhood of the Palestinian people, children throwing rocks and getting bullets in return. The Second Intifada was different political organizations basically competing for legitimacy. And Arafat was as guilty as anybody else in this. Like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Let's say in one of the police stations, and for the night.
Like here's the thing, Palestinians and Palestinian advocates, from the go were actually remarkably diplomatic, conciliatory, and extraordinarily willing to live alongside Israeli settlers. What happened was there were a whole lot of racists who came over, bluntly, who desperately wanted a state and military capacity and state control, and a whole lot of people who just, frankly, just abused their neighbors. And so over time, you have some extremists form as a result. You have a whole lot of racism foment, because you have racially charged oppression, and you have the very cynical decision to target both Palestinian Arabs and Israeli Jews by Israeli terrorists, bluntly, or pre-Israeli terrorists, who would be a hindrance to the establishment of the colonial state as it exists now. There's a lot of written material on this. If you want a really interesting and gruesome one, Rise and Kill First is a history of assassinations and insurgent movements leading up to the development of Israel by Zionists. Very interesting book. Rashid Khalidi is very good, if a little short. Benny Morris is actually a really good source for this. Benny Morris is very good. If people say Alan Papi is good, I haven't read Alan Papi, so I couldn't tell you. Do we know how Density is selling this interview? Oh, the selling of the interview is just look, Destiny's talking to someone with glasses and a bookshelf. That's it. These clowns are just excited that Destiny's in a room with people who aren't garbage. That's all. That's the level we're operating at here. Like, let's be clear. This is about Destiny feeling like he's taken seriously, and his audience feeling like he's taken seriously, because these are people who are fundamentally not taken seriously. Did you call him Density? I should have called him. I should have called him Epstein. You're right.
Was released to go home in order to come back the next morning. This revolving door. That's what he had. And he conned us day and night. And unfortunately, the Israelis under Peres and Rabin and Beilin, all these left.
He thinks these people were leftist. Dear God, he thinks these people are leftist.
They believed him that he will fight Hamas without Bagatz and without B'Tselem, which this is why they lost the agenda.
Okay, challenging question then. Do you ever feel like, or do you think that Palestinians have a justification for feeling like on the other end, while Israel might complain that Arafat never meant to fight against Hamas or fight against any of the terroristic elements?
Arafat literally authorized terrorist attacks. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Of Palestinian society, that Israel never meant to stop the settlement expansions, the outpost building, the terrorist attacks like in the Cave of the Patriarchs. Do you think that Palestinians have a right to feel that type of upsetness, or do you think that it's a bit different on how it plays out for both sides?
Look, I'm looking for solutions. which correspond with sociology.
Ominous phrasing.
Otherwise, you get another Syria or Iraq or Sudan or Libya.
What was wrong with Iraq, besides the fact that it was illegally invaded and destroyed by America?
Here. The only solution which will give them...
Actually though. What? Iraq had a state structure. What are you talking about?
Stability, us, security, and them as well, security, is the emirate solution. The PA, of course, is against it because it means to dismember the PA. Because by the PA...
I'm sorry. Are the divisions in Palestine tribal in nature? I'm pretty sure they're ideological in nature. There are different political groups that are not sensitive to tribal affiliation that are vying for control.
Don't forget, is anyway an artificial structure which we built.
By the way, corresponding with sociology would mean not having top-down imposed foreign colonial states as the basis of your society. That's anti-sociological.
Which doesn't correspond with the sociology. The only thing...
Who's sociology? Name a sociologist who agrees with you. What are you talking about? None of this is sociological, by the way. These are weird. These are weird Yoram Hazony style political science takes. These are not sociological takes.
Is the emirates in the cities of Judea and Samaria, Hebron for the clans of Hebron, Jericho, Ramallah, Jenin, Nablus, Tulkarm, and Kalkilia. Israel should forever remain in the rural areas, offer Israeli citizenship to the villagers. This will give them stability, just like Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Because this is the clan system in the Middle East. The clan definitely, or usually, takes care of its own interests. And if they understand that they are now, have the choice between messing with us or flourishing like Dubai, they will choose to be Dubai.
Okay.
And will postpone the desires to see us evaporating.
Sure.
Because we are not.
One more sociology question, and I'm curious.
Oh, God.
Do you feel like after 67, do you think that the...
Oh, he said it. He said it. He said the thing. He said the meme.
Mind of Israel, or the Jewish mind, or the Zionist mind, do you think it changed or became more ambitious in a good or bad way for territory in the West Bank? Or do you think that
Look,
desire was always there?
What happened in 1967 is actually the remedy for injustice which happened in 1948.
What? 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 What?
Look, Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a Jewish capital for over 3,000 years. Way before Christianity came to the world, way before Islam came to the world. So Jerusalem should be under Jewish rule. I'm not denying any right of anybody else. Churches should flourish. Mosques should
Well, you're insisting on the rule of a particular ethnic group, so yes, you are, actually.
flourish. Even the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which originally is not here.
Like, you're advocating for the disenfranchisement of everybody who's not Jewish, and therefore the disenfranchisement of families that have been there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years.
Original Al-Aqsa is in Jordan, according to Islamic sources, not in Jerusalem. But never mind. I think it was brought to Jerusalem by
So was Israel in your holy book.
the Umayyads, who wanted to divert the Hajj, for the pilgrimage, from Mecca to Jerusalem, because the Meccans rebelled in 682 CE. So they found Jerusalem as an alternative place for pilgrimage, and they claimed that the Al-Aqsa, which appears in the Quran, Jerusalem doesn't appear.
Okay, now walk me through how this justifies displacing a bunch of families and killing a bunch of kids so you can sell real estate to Americans. Walk me through that, please.
Al-Aqsa, which appears in the Quran, is actually in Jerusalem.
So what?
And they concocted all these stories about Jerusalem in order to
It's like, hang on. What the fuck? What did I just do? Hang on, I got it. Give me a sec, give me a sec. I've got a thing I'm gonna do. Give me a moment. Bear with me. Okay, hang on, hang on. There we go, alright.
To convince the people to come to Jerusalem, so the whole thing about Jerusalem is a concoction. So Jerusalem should be the Jewish capital with full honor to the other religions. I'm not denying anybody's right to worship, to pray, or to do whatever he likes in Jerusalem, as long as he or she recognizes the Jewish history and the Jewish ownership of Jerusalem. This is the only way how to get along with this. And just to remind you, the only time which Jerusalem is accessible to everybody, Jews, Christians, Muslims, is only when Jerusalem was under Jewish rule. When the Jordanians were occupying illegally Jerusalem and the West Bank as well.
You anti-Semitism charges. Morshu is a Highlian, sir.
Jerusalem was inaccessible. So, history proves.
Okay. Do you so one more time then, do you think after 67, do you think the
It
desire
stays there,
to
it's
have
perfect.
Jerusalem, do you think that changed significantly in Israel, or do you think the desire was always there, or?
Look, what happened in 67 because of the shock, which caught the Arab world because of the failure which they have, which couldn't be denied, the Arab nationalism actually was shown as an empty slogan, which Gamal Abdel Nasser, the head of the president of Egypt, tried to promote. So the alternative was Islamism. They left, or gradually they left the nationalism because it failed in front of Israel, and the alternative was going back to Islam.
So?
And when Islamism became more significant in the Middle East, the Jewish feeling of our people became also higher because the challenge was religious. And after all, the struggle against us, the basis of this is religious.
No, the basis of it is stealing land. The basis of it isn't religious at all. They were actually perfectly fine with working for you and working alongside you and living alongside you when you came over, which is why Israel expelled them in 1948, or as I should say, an illegal invading army expelled the Arabs in 1948, and they didn't do the reverse. You had a tiny little minority of people that were used as an excuse for it. But I'm sorry, no.
Because according to Islam, religion is, the Jewish religion and the Christian, by the way, is not in void. Din batil, as they say in Arabic, while only Islam is din haq. The land is an Islamic land, which was given to us in a conspiracy between Christians, Lord Balfour, the evangelical minister of Britain. Yeah. And this was
a psychopath, by the way.
Collaboration of Christians and Jews against Islam, the land, which is Islamic.
No, it wasn't against Islam. It was just against Arabs because they wanted to colonize it and they wanted to get rid of Jews. Because also the UK people who were in favor of Zionism, the English ones, were anti-Semites.
Jews are not a nation because according to the Islamic view, we are communities of...
I don't think Islam has a definition of nation. What are you talking about?
All the nations in the world, and that's where we belong.
Where are you getting that from? According to Islam, what? Where would you get that from?
And anyway, Jews and Christians should live under the Islamic rule as dhimmis, with limited rights.
I mean, don't Christians think the same thing?
So Israel is a state
Doesn't the British Empire, doesn't the British Empire do the same thing?
of the Jews has absolutely no right to exist, even if it was on a square centimeter on the seashore of Tel Aviv, according to the Islamic view.
According to these, a citation needed, sir. Maybe pick up one of those bricks of vegetable material on your back wall.
Because religion doesn't exist, Judaism doesn't exist, the land is Islamic, Jews are not a nation, and anyway, they have to live under the Islamic yoke. So, for them, settlement is not only Yitzhar and Itamar in Judea and Samaria, it's also Be'eri and Nahal Oz, and Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is a settlement, in their view. So, when you talk about settlements,
Thank you,
about
Brad Alex.
our
Much appreciate it.
definition, or American definition, or European definition, this is not the definition of the Middle East. The Middle East sees everything which was built here by Jews as a
The Middle East now has a vision. The Middle East has cognition. The Middle East is an entity, is a person. It has opinions. Like, I'm sorry, this is just naked Orientalism. You just think, oh, well, the Middle East, who are the Middle East? Oh, it's just people with funny hats who build pyramids and ride camels. Fucking hell. You see what I mean? Like, it's literally just like pre-Civil War style racism. That's the level we're operating at here.
settlement, which is implicitly illegitimate. So what are we negotiating on? So let me just add.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
The Middle East is run by three vectors. One is the clan system or the clan culture.
The Middle East is run on the clan culture, guys.
Which is common for Muslims, Druze, Christians in many cases, Alawis, many other groups which live in the Middle East, not only Muslims.
I think he meant Druze. I don't think it meant to say Jews.
And this culture is already hundreds of thousands of years old. The second vector is Islam.
Wait, what? Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Many other groups which live in the Middle East, not only Muslims. And this culture is already hundreds of thousands of years old.
Hundreds of thousands of years old. Hundreds of What are they speaking in fucking Sanskrit? Hundreds of thousands of years old. The scientific consensus is that the Middle East was only populated by humans 100,000 years ago. Early estimates. Early estimates. Are you insane? There were literally... Modern humans only got there. At the high end, like 100,000 years ago. But according to the Bible, 6,000 years ago.
The second vector is Islam, which came to the world only 14 centuries ago.
Like, hundreds. By the way, he didn't say 100,000. He said hundreds of thousands. You need to understand, okay? It was Dinotopia over there.
In order to correct some problems of tribalism. And this, it pulls the Middle East to another direction, to the religious direction. The third vector is modernism, which infiltrated into the Middle East since 215 years ago, more or less.
Modernism infiltrated the Middle East 215 years ago, guys, apparently.
And these three horses...
No elaboration, just modernism got there. With Napoleon, I guess.
Are pulling the Middle Eastern wagon to three different directions.
By the way, there wasn't a Middle East back then.
This is why it's so hard for Westerners which who are thinking in a Western way to understand this system, which is pulled by three.
No, he doesn't mean the Tanzimat, because the Tanzimat wasn't over 200 years ago.
By three vectors.
I'm curious, just on that three, when you look at a country like Saudi Arabia, which one of those three do you think they represent in your mind?
Saudi Arabia is representing a combination of religious pole on one side and the clan pole on the other side, some kind of conjunction between both, or mix of both. They take the modernism only when it comes to tools, car, cell phone, computer. They reject usually the Western values.
Then why is Iran a republic then, dipshit?
Freedom, democracy.
He has to mean Napoleon, because the Tanzimat wasn't until like what, 1830 something. So Tanzimat was 1830s. It's 2026 right now. So we ain't quite at 217 years yet.
Equality, men and women, all these things.
Sunday, I bet your enemy channels will clip this in charitably. Like who?
So they know very well how to pick
Be my guest. Make my fucking day.
from the third vector what serves
the other
goals,
two. Okay.
what undermines the two first ones, the clan system and the religious system.
Who do you? I'm just curious in terms of writing about like this balance of the Middle East. Have you ever written anything larger on it, or just?
Well, I published only one book because people prefer either articles
I'll be right back. I gotta check something.
or YouTube.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. The one book which I published is this, Assad in Search of Legitimacy, Message in Rhetoric in the Syrian Press under Hafez and Bashar. This is based on my PhD. It was published in 2005 by Sussex Academic Press.
So he's done basically no research and no work since then. That checks out.
And it actually analyzes the Syrian press in order to understand how
He's bored. He's bored. Okay, his butt plug's itching.
Assad, both father and son, Hafez and Bashar, think. And in my humble view, this is the best, of course.
Sorry, my mistake. His wife's plug.
Yeah.
The best
Ex-wife's plug.
analysis of how the Syrian regime thinks.
Okay.
Because unlike Western countries where the press is free, there the press is directed by the government.
Imagine a place where the press is directed by the government, guys. Can you imagine? I can't imagine living in a country where the press is directed by the government. Good thing I'm not in Israel.
And therefore the press actually expresses what the government wants, means what the president wants. Just like EKG, which you put on your body.
Yeah, I
you don't
understand.
have to penetrate your heart. It's enough that you put some electrodes and you analyze.
Like the USA Today. Well, you're getting there. You're not there yet, but it's not looking good.
This is the same thing. Analyze what they say, and you can understand, like reverse engineering. Analyze what they say to understand what they think. And I already predicted that this system named Syria cannot work forever. I didn't predict when and how it will erupt as it did in 2010, but definitely this system cannot work for a long time.
Okay. And then I'm curious, one more question. So I'm pretty sure on this trip, I'm going to have the chance to talk with Shlomo Ben-Ami and with Balin. What do you think when I talk to those two? Because I'm curious, I'll ask them their opinions on this. What do you think their biggest contention is with your narrativization or your theory of how the Middle East works? What do you think they would disagree with you?
Oh, I want to see that.
Start with the fact that both of them do not speak Arabic.
Yeah, that's okay.
Means they miss the main tool to understand their counterparts. And if you don't understand your counterpart for a negotiation, the chances that you make a big mistake are at least 100%.
Okay.
At least.
Wait, on that, so when you look at like big negotiations between Palestinians and Israelis, are there ever ordinarily people involved in these negotiations that are fluent in Arabic? Or
Yes. Lots of them, including, for example, Palestinians. Yes, what?
like for Camp David or for Oslo or?
Unfortunately,
Hey, do you remember when Benny Morris was like calling like Rashid Khalidi a hack? Remember that? Like, I'm sorry, what? This is so stupid.
Not too many. Begin, in his time, had an advisor, actually my teacher, Professor Moshe Sharon. He spoke Arabic fluently. He was expert in Arabic. And as long as he was in office, he made sure that Begin doesn't make big mistakes.
Okay.
Okay, yes, I agree with that uneasy chuckle there, Steve-O.
However, when the Egyptians understood that this man understands too much, they demanded to oust him from the Israeli crew. And unfortunately, Begin agreed.
And you said that guy's name was Moshe Sharon?
Moshe Sharon was his name.
Okay.
And those who actually pulled Begin was Dayan and Ezra Weizmann, who were great officers in the army,
But not
but
good.
understood very little in the Arab societies. Just like many, army people who think like tanks and cannons and air force and navy, but they understand very little about the societies which
Wow.
they have to deal with. And in my humble
Wow.
view, Israel and the Westerners will continue to make mistakes in the Middle East as long as they don't take the sociology of the Middle East as the main tool to understand what to do and how to do in the Middle East.
If you think that the Middle East has a single sociology and you think that the Middle East is a single community that you can describe in single terms as having these attitudes, these structures, and so on and so forth, you might be a Nazi racist. Like, imagine, if you will, talking about Africa like this. Guys, you need to understand the sociology of Africans, okay? Africa. Africans believe you know what the problem is with Africa? They hate our way of life. You see immediately how stupid that is. It's because they're just racists. They're just full-on racists. Like, just in the classical sense. Django Unchained style. That's the level they're operating at. Anyways. Thank you, Morshu. An excellent sale. I'm gonna send you guys away to I think Aiko's live right now. I'll send you to Aiko. I was gonna send you to Morbid Zoo, but Morbid Zoo can't figure out her internet because I am smarter with tech apparently, and I'm gonna cling to that. That there's one person out there who's a successful YouTuber whose streams break down more than mine do. Was this worth it? No, God no, and I resent everybody who made me watch this. A pox upon you all. Sending it to Aiko. Have a good night, everyone. We will be live again tonight at 9 p.m.